Hey everyone, welcome to my channel for another exciting and fun-filled episode of the Passagemaker Dingy build series. Got lots to do, so let's get at it. Alright, had a late start yesterday, but I was able to get the aft transom here all flush and put a piece of tape along the edge, so when we smear some thickened epoxy here in a little bit along this back seam, hopefully we'll minimize the mess back here. Also yesterday I was able to do some pretty good sanding on the bottom of the hole here, so not sure if we'll be able to see it. Well, we'll see that there aren't any, most of those bumps are gone. I did do a pretty fair job on the coves, did a little bit of cleanup there. We do have quite a few spots that are pretty bad. In fact, along this edge over here, we got a spot where when I sanded the fiberglass, that actually broke along in here. So when we do some thickened epoxy for the transoms, I might try to lay just a little bit in here. We'll see how that goes. And then also I taped up the front of the bow here when we do the same thing with putting some thickened epoxy around that. All right, so the first thing I want to do though is it's bright and early in the morning, and we've got our transom. We've got our trunk pieces here that we fiberglassed up and put some epoxy on, and I've got them all sanded down and all cleaned up, ready to put another layer of epoxy on. Now, again, the manual doesn't say to do that, but I'm going to do that. I'm going to do it anyways, and I'll use just the regular, our regular Moz epoxy. I can do a small batch. This isn't going to take more than a couple pumps, and we can get this done pretty quick. Also, I'm going to put, again, the manual doesn't say so, but I'm going to put a thin layer of epoxy along both edges of this trunk board parts. They actually go inside here. You'll see when we put that together. But I think these two pieces here, at least on the inside face, should have a coat of epoxy on them too. So that's first thing I'm going to do, because it's bright and early. Temperature 72 in here. I'll turn the AC on, and hopefully we'll be able to get through doing just a layer of epoxy on these real quick. I'm not going to use peel ply on these. I think I want a nice shiny shiny surface. I'll probably hopefully I won't have to sand it down, but that's what I'm going for, is a nice shiny smooth surface on these guys. So let's see how that goes. Alright, sorry for the background noise, but I gotta have the AC running at least for a little bit longer here this morning. It's going to be running quite a bit throughout the rest of this project, I expect. Anyway, so I got just 3 pumps here. Let's see how far that goes. Since this is already fiberglassed, I'm hoping this 3 pumps will do at least 1 panel, if not a little bit more than that. Not too bad. Again, these the inside of these panels won't see the light of day for once it's in the boat, so not too worried about how they look. More worried about them being smooth and well protected. So doing these, like I said, doing these side rails like this isn't in the manual, and I probably haven't said it enough in this video series, but this is not a how-to or anything like that. This is just how I'm doing it. So you can take that any way you want. But that's what you get. This is how I'm doing it, not a how-to. I think I'm doing a fair job of explaining my reasonings behind the way I'm doing stuff, but again, it's up to you to make your own decisions and to proceed how you would like to. All right, good. So I do have a couple, a little bit left here. I'm going to go ahead and work on the fillet on the boat along the edges there and see if we can get that a little bit cleaner. So we'll pause here and be back in a little bit. All right, for my next trick. So what I've got here is some thickened epoxy, but this epoxy is actually the Total Boats Tropical Hardener mixed with wood flour. So that's what I want to try to use here on filling in the gaps on this transom, the bow transom here, to see how this works. And I've got the epoxy thickened so that it's just almost dripping. Probably got too much here, but let's see if we can figure out the best way to do this. I think one of the things I want to make sure I do is get this, get the end grain of the planks, at least something on them. By using the tropical hardener, as you can guess, I'm trying to get some extra working time out of it. It is down to 70 degrees in here, so hopefully we'll have a good almost an hour to mess with this if we need to. I expect going forward, I think I'll probably be using the tropical hardener epoxy system to do most of the any remaining fillets and that kind of stuff, just to give me the extra working time. All right, now the next thing I want to try here is putting peel ply on these pieces that I just did, to see how that works with the thickened epoxy. So I've got a bunch of strips here that I've already got cut pretty close. Let's just see how this works. The reason I want to do peel ply here is just for the fact that we're using the tropical hardener. Not sure how this is going to work. I don't know if I've got enough, if the thickened epoxy is thin enough to for this to work. On this front part, I put a pretty thick layer here to build this part up. There was the bottom panel was just a little bit recessed, so I wanted to make sure I had a good heavy coat of thickened epoxy. So we'll see how this works. If worse comes to worse, I can sand it over and do it again. Let me go ahead and sneak around to the back side, and we'll pause here and be back in a little bit. All right, then I got the back transom done here. I think pretty good. We'll see how this turns out tomorrow. The Dagger board trunk pieces are looking pretty good. See if we can get the See a little bit of roughness there, but I'm not going to worry about it. I'm not sure if I'll even sand these again before we put it together. I would like to get this Dagger board trunk put together tomorrow. I got a couple ideas there that we'll talk about, and those look pretty good. And the of course the front that we did just a little bit ago, that's looking pretty good. The one thing I did, so I had some leftover thickened epoxy with the tropical hardener, so I had a low spot on this fillet here, and I went ahead and filled it in and put the peel ply over it. Wanted to see how it works with a real fillet here instead of like what I did at the transoms. So this will be interesting to see how this turns out. So this might be how we do when we put in the seats. We'll take a look at it, see how it looks, but I'm thinking this is how we're going to do the seats when we put them in with, we'll use tropical hardener and thicken it up, and then use peel ply on top of it. We'll see how that works. But anyways, we'll go ahead and pause here. Oh, I did get some of this bottom fillet, at least one side of it, another coat of epoxy, and we're looking okay. Still a little bit disappointing there on some of the whiteness there, but this is all going to be painted over, so as long as it's strong and doesn't have any major weaknesses, I think we're going to be good. But yeah, anyways, we'll go ahead and pause here. I'll be back out tomorrow to see how this looks and hopefully get started on the Dagger board trunk. All right, the other thing we did was the epoxy on the Dagger board trunk. I did come out last night and put another coat on. I still had quite a few bumps and little divots in there. You can see some of them, they're a lot smaller now, so not sure if that's because there's dust or whatever on them, but anyways, it's a lot better now, and these are looking good. So this will be our arts and crafts projects for today, is to go ahead and put this Dagger board trunk. So let me get set up to do that, and we'll walk through that and see how it goes. All right, so let's see where we're at here. So they have you doing the fiberglass on the Dagger board panels, epoxy fill coats. Yep. So they want you to make sure you've got eliminate the texture of the cloth from the initial application of fiberglass. So we've got a fairly smooth surface here to work with. I've sanded them down with 120 grit. They won't see the sunlight, so no need to paint them. Let's see. So now here, the Dagger board trunk's parts ready for assembly. All right. So it says small batch of epoxy, jam consistency, not peanut butter, jam. So that's an important distinction, I guess. And then brush a generous amount on one face of each spacer. So these are the spacers, and then place them on the two panels, align them, and after mating, inside faces must be protected from water, so it's easiest to do so now before the opposite side of the trunk is installed. And then put the other side on. Check the alignment, clamp it together. Once the parts, wrap a clean rag around a mixing stick and scrape all the excess epoxy from inside of the trunk assembly. All right, so that's important one we got to remember. It's a good idea. They talk about trimming the spacer, but they've already done that. So this must have been a change they made where they give you the right dimensions on the spacer. Now there's a couple things here. Both of the spacers are just a little bit long, and I think they say that in there somewhere. So we will have to trim both the top and the bottom. But now the other thing is, so If you remember, when we did the doublers, I had a heck of a time. I wasn't real happy with not having any kind of index or any kind of way to show where the parts are together. Now again, here if we slather this stuff all up with epoxy and then try to get the perfect fit with that epoxy sliding all over the place, that's going to just drive me crazy. So what I've done is, let's see, where's it at? I don't know if you can be able to see that, but that is a 1/4 inch oak dowel. So we've got a 1/4 inch oak dowel, and what my plan is to drill maybe a hole here and then 2 holes over on this side, and then we'll have room to do the spacers. I've already did a test of this, and I think it'll work pretty good. I just don't know what I did with the test. I've got the dowels I've used right here, and we don't have to have the exact length. We can cut them off later. So yeah, so that's what I'm going to do. Is I'm going to go ahead and we'll get this all set up and right where I want it, clamped together. I'll put it in the drill press. I'll drill 3 holes all the way through, and then we'll make sure the dowels dry fit. The only drill bit I've got is that I could use for this. This is a 1/4 inch, so I have to make these a little bit. Smaller, but I'll show you how I do that here in a little bit. So let me just realized I've got to clean up. I want to go ahead and clean up the run over epoxy on the other sides of these before I go too much further. I don't want that interfering with the glue up. This one's not quite as bad, but yeah, so let me go ahead and clean up the other side of these before we go further, and then we'll be back and show you how we get these together. All right, then I took quite a bit of time to make sure I've got this Dagger board chunk pretty darn square. I'm not sure if we'll be able to, how much we'll be able to show here, but we've got a good flush fit all along here. It's not exactly perfect, but it's about as perfect as it's going to get. I think there's, we're dealing with wood here, so we got a little bit of give and take there. So, and I've got I got these clamps on here in the right spot to drill holes. So we'll be drilling, be putting 1 hole here, 1 hole here, and 1 hole here, and that ought to give us the alignment pins that we need for when we put it together. So let me get you over to the drill here, and we'll get this. I'm going to use the drill press on this. I want to make sure we got a good straight up and down hole here for these alignment pins. So let me pause here. We'll get the drill set up and be right back. All right, done. I got a big hunk of 4x4 sitting here on the bench, and I put that there so that I can slide the piece in and get it in the right spot, and then also it should minimize the tear out on the bottom on the other side when we drill this up. So I think we're about ready. Helps if I pick a square spot, a square board here. What the heck's wrong with this? Oh heck, do I got something underneath it? Alright, well that's gonna have to do. And I put the clamps far enough apart so that I got room to do this. Let's see if we got it pretty close to being centered. Alright, here goes nothing. Not too bad at all. All right, 2 more to do, and then we can do a dry fit of the dowels. Probably should have marked where I wanted these to go, but we'll just eyeball it and see where we end up at. All right, close enough for the girls I go out with. All right, those 2 are done. Just 1 more. Alrighty, just need to clean up these holes a little bit. I think I've got a round rasp file that I'm going to get out and see if we can clean up those holes a little bit. Alright then, I got my Harbor Freight Special 3/16 inch file here, so I think that should at least get us cleaned up a little bit here. Really just want to get rid of the little bit of tear out here. That should work. So I've already got, I've already had, like I said, I did a test piece. I've got 2 already cut, and they're long enough to fit through. It seems like this one's a little bit tight. And then this one here is quite a bit too loose, I think. Oops. This one's a little bit more tapered, so I think I'm going to go ahead and use that one, and then we'll yeah, so we'll need to cut 1 more, and we'll see if we can make these a little bit skinnier. All right, then I got the other dowel cut. Should be pretty good, and a piece of sandpaper, and well, you know, heck, there's got to be an easier way to do this, so let's try this. Don't try this at home. It doesn't need much. It needs a little bit more than that. So I'll just keep working at this. All right, there's 2. Where'd the other one go? It was right here. All right, this is the one that'll probably need the most. Just a little more. There we go. So now we got all 3 put together. Now I'll go ahead and what I'll do is take this all apart and wipe it all down with some denatured alcohol, get some thickened epoxy mixed up, and this time I'll be using the tropical hardener with the cello fill, and that's what they call for here in the manual, I believe. Yep. Oh yeah, so we got to get to the jam consistency, not the peanut butter consistency, the jam consistency. All right, and then put it on. Yep. All right, so let me get this cleaned up. I'll be using the work spot I already had over here, over that way. And yep. All right, we'll pause and be back in a little bit. All right, I went to do I did the cleanup, and then I went to do 1 more dry fit just to make sure, and realized that I actually need 2 in each side. So if I had just this pin here, then this spacer on this side could move in and out. So I went ahead and drilled another hole up here and made another dowel for it. So good. So let me go ahead and mix up some epoxy, thickened epoxy, and we'll see how the glue up goes. All right, then they said jelly, so I went with something just a little bit thinner than peanut butter, I guess. I don't know. So what do you guys think? Is peanut butter thicker than jelly? I just don't know. Let me know down below in the comments. What you think, is jelly thicker than peanut butter, or is peanut butter thicker than jelly? So they've got us just slathering this stuff on the spacers. Generously. And then putting them down. It's about 80 something, 83 in here, so I'm not sure how long my working time is. Oops, making a mess already. Don't have any paper towels ready to go. Alright, so now I just flip this guy over. Oh, let me clean that up a little bit more. This pretty close. Those index or alignment holes help here pretty good too, so we can see where they are. All right, let's get the next other one over on this side done. All right, flip this one over. Hopefully it's in the right spot. Now they've got you coming back and doing another layer on top, so this ought to be fun. Oops, keep hitting the camera with my head. All right, let's get this other piece, just flip it right over, and down it goes. What a mess. We can get these. There we go. There we go. That one's in. Whatever hammer you got. There we go. It's a good deal. So that's done. Now I just got to put the clamps on and do the squeeze out in the middle there. Alrighty then, there we go. Now I just have to figure out how to get any of the squeeze out of there. I might need to put some more clamps on though first. In fact, I think that's what I'll do. Alrighty, so yep, we only got a little bit of squeeze out there, so that should be good. I got this this long stir stick that I'm going to try to use here. Not sure how good it's going to work. Well, it worked pretty good. Yep. Alrighty then, not too bad, not too bad. So I think I'm going to show in the manual leaving it standing straight up. And I don't know why, but that's the way they show it. Alright, I'll put some bricks or something along it to make sure it doesn't fall over. But I think that was a successful build there. And oops, yeah, I probably need to do some more cleanup on the outside too. I'll get the outside here cleaned up in a little bit. Okay then, this is looking real good. Real happy the way this came out. I think the dowels as pins is worked for me real well. Again, this is just how I'm doing it. You need to make your own decisions, think through it. But anyways, I think for me this worked real well. I was able to locate everything, and then once I got it in, got the pins in, then it's not moving around, and makes it a lot easier to get in there and get the clamps on. And anyway, so yep, working good. So next step is to clean this up and then install it in the boat. And in order to do that, I got to flip the boat over. I should be getting some help this afternoon that can probably help me with that. And but then in the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and clean up the work that we did on the bow and the aft transoms, get the tape off of there, do some light sanding, and then we'll be back out maybe tomorrow or Sunday. Today's Friday, yeah. So tomorrow or Sunday to see if we can get this Dagger board trunk installed. But for now, I want to say thanks for watching. Thanks for your support. Make sure you're hitting that like button. Please leave me any comments, questions, suggestions down below. Please tell your friends about me, and please subscribe. Everyone, take care and be good.